All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin. All right, welcome back to the other side of the coin, ladies and gentlemen. I said in my last video that I want to get an Arsenal fan and talk about the Arsenal situation and also talk about whether Chelsea should try and follow that path, because there is no shortcut to the top. There simply isn't any shortcut to the top. And I feel like maybe Arsenal and their fan base, they've stuck through some tough times and now maybe they're seeing the fruits of it. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Scott. As you guys remember, we used to have a show together. Scott runs is one of the hosts in their particular show for It's a Football Thing podcast. Check out their YouTube channel. The link is in the description and also in the title as well. So make sure you do go and follow Scott and Rob and RJ, all been part of the show previously. Lovely people. Scott, first of all, must be very, very happy with Arsenal being on top of the table.
Always, man. It's an odd feeling because it's like nostalgia week at Arsenal. We saw a goal from a midfielder called Vieira. Haven't had that for a long time, since an FA Cup final against United.
It's a thunderball as well, by the way. It was a good shot.
It's nostalgia week at the moment, but you know what this league's like, Miz. Of course, you've got to enjoy the highs. When you're riding the high, you've got to enjoy it. But man, I made a terrible mistake last season, Miz, of saying the top four for Arsenal was locked in when things were good, when we were at the top. And man, some people haven't let me live that down. So enjoying it though.
Do you know what? It was locked in though. It was yours to have, but we won't talk about that too much. I want to talk about this season, though.
That's it.
Exactly. I mean, look, I know there was a minor slip up against Man United. I did watch the match. To be honest, I felt like you guys were in the game. I think some sort of naivety kicked in with, Man United. The only way that they would have played his counter-attack. And I think something just didn't happen. At 1-1, I thought maybe you guys were in the ascendancy. And, from there, obviously, the goal that they ended up scoring. But it is what it is. I feel, though, there's something different about Arsenal this season. Like, everything is clicking. Many predicted after that Man United loss, maybe here we go. We're going to see the old Arsenal coming back. Brentford, a good opposition to have. You guys took apart Brentford like all the other, oppositions that you guys had prior to Man United. Chemistry is looking good. Players seem to gel together. Arteta is buzzing. What's going on, Scott? Like, what has really changed so much this season?
Look, man, I put it down to a couple of things. One of the big problems for me that started to get improved last season was around consistency in your team. Now, I'm still a traditionalist, football traditionalist at heart. I liked the days where you knew who your starting lineup was. You'd go into a match like in Mourinho's first season. You knew by and large who was starting in the middle, who was playing at the back, who was in goals. And I think that's something that we're seeing a lot more at Arsenal now. Like we haven't tinkered with the back four from the start of the season. The midfield has only been tinkered with because our hands been forced with injury. And it's been every game. Gabby Jesus starting up front, Saka on his side. Like it's all been very consistent. Now, to me, that's a big part of it. Because when you're having to chop and change between players, particularly in your defense, Miz, that can just cause big problems, man. So I think that's number one. Number two, the club's got good vibes at the moment, man. It's the fans are united, and that's a big part with success. The fan base is united, the players are united, and the ownership are backing the gaffer. To me, it all comes down to those simple things. Football's not a complicated game. We just tend to overcomplicate it.
No, 100%. And also, the transfers you guys got, they seem to have nicely slotted in. Let's talk about a couple of them. First of all, William Saliba. This guy, what a Rolls Royce of a defender, scoring goals as well, and keeping things very tight at the back, along with Gabriel Magalhaes. A couple of mistakes, some individual errors this season, but overall, as you said, that consistency at the back. Zinchenko as well, another really fine addition who tends to move into midfield. Up front, Gabriel Jesus. What a signing, what a player for you guys. He's pretty much three players in one, striker, winger, can come into midfield. And now this new player, Fabio Vieira, who I haven't seen much of. Was that the first start
Well,
for
we
him?
signed him injured too, Miz. Like, he came injured, so he was being eased in. And Erdegaard, obviously, that's his starting position, the club captain. But yeah, it was his first Premier League start, so good for him and a good goal.
He ended up getting man of the match as well, right, Scott?
Yeah, man of the match. And that's what we want, Miz. We want, every football club should want no players in your starting lineup to be too comfortable. Now, I know I've said our lineup's been consistent, but they've been playing consistently well. Yeah, so there's been no reason to chop and change. But I want Erdegaard to see that Fabio Vieira can come in and do a job. You know what I mean? I want Zinchenko to see that Kieran Tierney can come in and play a really good game. That's what you want. You want your bench players or that backup to put pressure on your starters. But that's probably my only criticism of Arsenal. I still don't think our depth is great. And if you looked at our bench today, our bench was very weak. So, yeah, that's probably the next step for me. We've got a really good core. Now we've just got to put some supporting structures around that core, because we're 3 or 4 injuries away from calamity, man. It's a tight one. So I'm enjoying it while it lasts, though.
Do you know what? It's such a good point that you said, that harnessing and fostering good competition, very much needed. And we're going to slowly swift towards the Chelsea point of view now and get your thoughts on it and sort of relate it to Arsenal's model. Before we do that, though, actually, do you know what? Now, I'm going to keep this right at the end. I want to ask you this question right at the end, which will be a surprise. But with Chelsea, as you can see, so much chop and change, such a shock in our system with Thomas Tuchel gone. I think many probably, and myself, I've said it, that if results sort of go south for another 4-5 games, he will be under pressure. But I just didn't think they will just pull the plug so immediately. But then there's been some background stories that owners simply didn't get along with Thomas Tuchel, XYZ. We won't get into all of that. What I want to ask you, though, there is no shortcuts to catching Man City. Man City are flying, and Erling Haaland I don't think he's real. I really think he's a machine underneath. He's a cheat code. He's a cheat code. The brother's got about 11 Premier League goals in the first 6 or 7 games or whatever it is. It's unbelievable. 14 goals in all club competition. He's going to break some records. Now, you guys, however, Scott, I personally feel are the closest team that can compete against them right now. Not disregarding Liverpool. Obviously, they slowly but surely will come around. They've got that DNA inside them. They've been there. Spurs not playing well, but still picking up points. I feel like they're a tad behind, obviously, North London derby that's coming up straight after the international break. I want to ask you, Scott, should Chelsea, at a stage where there seems to be so much instability and we're trying to work on it, we are trying to get the director of football, we are hopefully now under the new ownership, Graham Potter stays, we're trying to bring in players for the future XYZ. Scott, do you think that is probably the way to go around? You know, what you guys went through, all of that hardship for the past 3 years, but you're seeing the fruits now. Is that the model? Back the manager, back the owners, and perhaps he'll come around?
Miz, you know me, yeah. We've done a lot of shows together. You know I love the banter, but I also respect Chelsea as a football club, and you've got some ballers in there, and you're a very successful club. Now, I've spoken to you over the years about Chelsea as a ruthless club. You've been built on that ruthlessness. No, make no mistakes. And I'm not saying that as an insult, because had you not been ruthless, your trophy count would be halved, yeah?
Exactly, yeah.
I don't know, and maybe in the comments people will comment on this, but I don't know if your fan base, and I mean this with respect, is cut out for that long haul. I don't know.
They're not. I'll tell you right now, they're not.
I look at it now. I'll speak to myself. People can go back and watch old clips. There have been times when I've said, I'm done with Arteta, like I'm done with the process. It's hard, Miz. It's hard because we're emotionally invested. We love it's not just a game. Like my wife and I have this debate all the time. She'll see me upset. after that Manchester United result and say, it's just a game, relax. I'm like, nah, it's not a game. Like, these are part of who we are. Like, we breathe it, we talk
It's my identity.
It's like, it's part of my heart, yeah. But
yeah.
I just don't know with Chelsea if it's going to be an easy ride for you, because your fan base has become accustomed, your club has become accustomed to this identity where it's we win and we win now. And if we're not winning, see you later, we'll bring someone else in who will win. There's been a lot of player power at Chelsea as well over the years. I do think your current dressing room is probably one of the least hostile. Like, Graham Potter's coming in, and there's not really guys in there like a John Terry, for example, who's so widely revered by all and who could almost call shots over a gaffer. I think what Potter has going for him is a less hostile dressing room. I feel like the older parts of your fan base seem to be like, we need to change the way we think and the way we act, but it's very hard when you've been so used to being top dogs for so long, to change, man. I'm just sitting back watching with a lot of curiosity to see what happens with that adaptation, because I do think the Potter has shown at Brighton, with less resources and less egos, that he can put something together and he can punch above his weight.
And it's taken him time as well, Scott. It wasn't all rosy from the get-go. It's taken him 2 seasons in Brighton to finally implement the kind of football he wants to play. And then we saw the breakout last season, and obviously this season they're slowly trying to kick on, but now they've lost their manager. Do you feel, and this is what I want to ask you, like, as hard as it was for you as an Arsenal fan to go through 8th, 5th, but eventually you saw late last season, it was sort of clicking right at the end. As I said, you guys threw it away. It was yours to get that 4th. Are you surprised the way you've started, or are you sort of thinking, do you know what? The way the process, I hate saying, but it is a process.
You've got to do it, man. That's the word. Yeah.
That's the word. Were you sort of thinking this season, the way it finished off for Arsenal last season with a couple of good signings, cheeky signings, maybe there is a way we can bridge that gap? And do you think that's how we need to think? Because honestly, Scott, I can't see how Graham Potter just comes in and just flick of a finger and we win the Premier League or we win the Champions League again. We're in the brink of getting out of Champions League.
You'll be waking up on Thursdays with me, mate.
No. Oh, no, that's the Champions League. What's the Europa League one? I don't even know
the anthem. I know the anthem because I'm used to it. You don't want to get here, but like you said, this is a process, Miz. It is. And I'm very honest in saying there have been times I've said, get this guy out. It's not right. But I've at this point been proved wrong. And all I would say to Chelsea fans who maybe are going to find it hard to back this and get behind it, if that's what you want to do, because some people may not think Potter's that guy, but you've got to have your minimum expectation. And you've got to then stick to that. Like for me, and I've said it in a few different places, my minimum expectation of Arsenal this season is Champions League football, because we have been out of that.
Whether it be Europa League win or 4th.
Don't care, Miz. I don't care. And this is where this is the part that has taken me time. You've got to set your expectation, and that's got to be it. You've got to have that. There has to be some kind of progress. Now, if I'd said at the start of this season, minimum expectation is we're in a title challenge in the last 3 weeks of the season, I don't think that's realistic, because it's got to be incremental. Yeah, you don't transform overnight. But Arteta's been backed. He's been backed when he's gone into conflict against players. Example, Aubameyang, Guendouzi. Yeah. He's been given money in finances. He's got players he wanted. There are no excuses now, because it's got to be the Champions League. I don't care if we win the Europa League but finish 5th, 6th, so be it. Because to win the Europa League, you've got to make sacrifices late season.
That's a trophy as well.
You know, that's what we want. That's, as a fan, that's what you get G'd up for. You want trophies, you want success. Now, I'm not stupid. I'm not saying that Arsenal are going to win a title this year. I actually think that City are still just way too good for anyone. I think City will take this, but Spurs similarly are doing some good things. They're winning ugly, Miz. And that's a sign of a really good team when you're not playing well, but you're still bagging points. So it's got to be incremental. Set your minimum expectation, know your minimum expectation, and I think everyone needs to be held accountable for that. Like Graham Potter would have a minimum benchmark. I don't see Bowley saying, "Come in, this season's a free here. I don't care if you finish 10th." I can't see Bowley being that guy, man.
No, 100%. Like my thought process around the new manager is, look, as you said, I'm trying to set an expectation for myself so that I don't get hurt down the track. I honestly feel with the situation that we're in, Champions League, Premier League, new manager, a whole heap of new players as well that we've got during this window, whether it be experienced players, young players. I feel like for me, top four is still the expectation. That's, Chelsea on a given, that's where you expect. But for me, honestly speaking, Scott, if we miss out top four by a whisker, am I going to be upset? Hell yeah. But I'm not going to be putting my hand up going, Graham Potter out, like because he came fifth or he came sixth. Because for me, that's unrealistic. It's like going back to square one again. That's not what our manager wants to do. But as you said, if it's something detrimental, 10th, 11th, 12th or something in the table, completely out of Europe, and then it's a disastrous season, then you need to start thinking, well, is this guy really cut out for this job? But before we get to that final question that I wanted to ask you, I want to ask you from an Arsenal perspective, obviously someone outside of Chelsea, what do you say to someone like, because this isn't your, a lot of people thought maybe Zidane or, XYZ manager, big name. Like, what do you say to our fans, or from your perspective, like someone like Graham Potter backing him? How do you feel about Graham Potter, and also your message to us as well?
It's hard not to have respect for Graham Potter, man. And I would say to your fans, the proof is in the pudding. You look at what he did with that Brighton team. Now, if you'd have looked at that Brighton team, 2 seasons ago, and I'd said to any Chelsea fan, you can pick players from there that you think would slot into your starting lineup, you probably wouldn't have taken any of them. Because they weren't seen as kind of worthy of being with those big boys. But the proof is in what he's done. He has shown that he can take players that aren't those big flashy names, and he can turn them into really good Premier League players. He's shown that he can implement a system within a team, and that with time, he can make that system fruitful. I thought this season, Graham Potter was going to be in big trouble losing Basuma, Kukurea, losing big players like that, Miz. But look, again,
you kicked on.
You couldn't tell that they'd lost those guys because they were still, other players had stepped up. And I guarantee you, if he was in charge of Chelsea a couple of seasons ago, you aren't letting someone like Tammy Abraham go, because tell you what, you could use Tammy Abraham now, man. You could use him now. For my love for Aubameyang, if I could only have Orba or Tammy Abraham right now, I'm taking Tammy, man.
Yeah, you wanted Tammy. A lot of Arsenal fans wanted Tammy, and do you know what? He's doing the bits in Roma at the moment. So it is what it is. Look, we're gonna wrap things up, but I want to ask you this one question before we do.
I've been waiting for this. I don't even know what it is. I'm excited, Miz.
Are Arsenal genuine title contenders? You must be feeling it underneath, Scott. I know it's early days, 7 games in, top of the table, but you guys are playing some good football, man. And I know you said you're about 2-3 injuries away from all collapsing, but I feel you guys, if you stay injury-free, and, that's up in the air, who knows? That's up to God, whatever he wants to do. But if you can stay injury-free and continue this form, I feel like in January, once the World Cup's over, your board will back Arteta to kick on. Like if you're still leading or in and around that position where you're just whiskers away from Man City, or maybe even leading. I mean, how are you feeling, man? Like there must be something burning inside you thinking, could this be it?
Listen, why are you doing this to me? We've
because I want to clip you up. I want to clip you up later on.
So many streams together, where it's just all Arsenal banter, and I know I'm going to copy it in the comments too. But now you want to stitch me up with this kind of question. So you're a cheeky dude, man. I'll tell you what. Look, always, and anyone who checks out any of our videos on our channel, I've been saying this season, I'm going to enjoy the highs while they're there, because in Premier League football, anything can happen. But I also know, as a content creator, you want me to give you an answer.
Yes.
Are Arsenal title contenders? Right now, yes. But when I say contenders, I don't say that in the sense that I think we'll win it. I think if we stay injury-free, if we stay blessed with injuries, we will be close to Man City at the end. But Man City, to me, are a class above everyone else in this league. They are a very good team with a very good manager, and they've got Haaland, who is an absolute beast. So, sure, we might be close to Man City or close to a title, but I think Spurs are also title contenders. I think Manchester United, with some consistency, and if they all buy into Ten Hag ball, can also be contenders. But for Chelsea, I do think this is going to be a long, hard season, Miz. And I don't know if you saw the clip doing the rounds, but I actually called in a season preview that I thought Tommy Tuchel would be one of the first managers to go. He just didn't look happy, man. And
Do you know what? A lot of people said that, actually. A lot of people said that.
so,
Like rival fans.
Yeah. So for me, yes, we are, but there's a long way to go. A long, long way to go, man. I'm just enjoying the ride at the moment.
No, 100% agree. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us till the end. As you can hear, the prayers going off as well. So I've got to go pray very soon. Scott, much thank you for your time today. Ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys have enjoyed this. Smash the like button. Make sure you follow Scott and his channel. It's all in the description and also in the title. We're going to bring Scott on for any other, Arsenal related, down the track when we do play Arsenal. Obviously, you'll see a lot more of Scott. But if you do want to see Scott, Rob, who's a Man United fan, in their channel as well, and RJ, who's been part of this channel as well, Chelsea fan, and I'm very, very sure I'm going to bring them on this channel soon. Do subscribe to their channel. It's a football thing, and you'll get them there. Until next time, everyone, take care and see ya.